CM Punk wants to stay in WWE forever. Plus, we have an update on Swerve's next AEW World title opponent, and Bryan Danielson's post-retirement plans may have been revealed. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling News right now. Forever! 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 Forever. Stop me. Forever.
Right. We've got an update on CM Punk's future plans in WWE. Ibu of Wrestle Purists was asked, how long is CM Punk's WWE contract? And he replied, I believe it's 3 years. I can tell you right now that he is in the process of trying to get his deal restructured from a money and years standpoint. Punk's legitimate stance right now is that if all goes well, he will never leave. Forever. That's his legitimate standpoint. He wants to be here forever is the actual word he used. Basically, he wants this to work out. He wants to get paid, and then he wants, when it's time, to slow it down and just run NXT.
I genuinely see that happening.
As unpredictable as Phil can be sometimes with Phil, I can see he seems night and day from who he was in AEW when he was very frustrated. Obviously, there's a lot of back and forth behind the scenes. Some of it his fault. I'm not trying. Now in WWE, he makes a conscious effort to appear in little digital exclusives and stuff with NXT superstars, and seems genuinely invested in like teaching people how to become stars like him, I suppose. And
not even just in exclusives. There's been pictures that have been shared online of the NXT shed where he is just sat behind the scenes, isn't he? Just watching things happen, not featured on it at all, but just there to sort of offer support and guidance as they go along, which I think is a great place to be in. It's a real shame that this CM Punk wasn't around as part of AEW, because I feel like that's the sort of person that the AEW always need.
Yes.
Is someone like that who's sort of guiding the new people forward.
Of course, 3 years is a very long time as well, so in 3 years' time, when this initial deal Ibu of Wrestle Purist believes will end, we'll have to see what the lay of the land is then. But as of now, that seems to be Punk's mindset, apparently. He wants to do this forever, and when he's ready to step away from the ring, he just wants to run NXT.
He's also pushing for AJ Lee to appear back in an NXT or a WWE ring. According to Roxanne Perez, in an interview with Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Perez says, I tried to talk to him about wanting AJ Lee back. He tells me he's doing the same thing. He's trying to get her to come back. He's pulling her in. I hope she does decide to come back and have a match with me.
They would be a good matchup. I don't know how good I don't know how quick it would take for her to shake off the ring rust and everything. But in terms of characters, I think that her and Roxanne would match up very well indeed. I'm trying to remember what AJ's in-ring style was. I think that would work very well too.
I think there's a lovely combination between those two. And well, it's I can see not just an NXT run, but I could just see her. I think Hall of Fame maybe for Punk and AJ Lee at some point.
Yeah, she would absolutely deserve it, because the WWE, love to talk about the women's revolution and how much better women's wrestling is treated these days than it was in the past. And AJ Lee is a massive and often unheralded part of that.
I believe so as well. Stay talking with NXT and working on the future. There has been a lot of talk about WWE showing interest in a standout wrestler from Australia named Delta Brady. Now, an update on Fightful Select confirms that there is more than just interest.
Yeah, Fightful Select's Corey Brennan has learned, the report says, from sources close to Delta that following her tryout during WWE's time in Australia in February, she was offered a contract with the company and would go on to sign with the company, but was allowed to finish off her remaining dates in Australia first. Those same sources say that Delta was slated to move to the United States this month, but there's no start date at the WWE Performance Center that is known as of the writing of that report. It's expected that she will start in NXT along with Julia and Stephanie Vaca, two big signings of recent times, once she has settled into living in the States.
Now, who is Delta Brady? I see you writing in the comments down below. Well, I'm going to give you a chance to delete it, because I'm going to tell you who Delta Brady is. She's the brother of an Australian wrestler named Dean Brady, who was...
she's the sister of.
Sorry, the sister. She's not the brother of. That's me writing that very sleepy. She is the sister of Australian wrestler Dean Brady. Dean inspired her to get into wrestling, and she ended up getting a tryout with Riot City Wrestling in Australia, and her career began proper at the end of 2020 as the world was opening back up again. She formed a tag team with her brother, and they became two-time RCW Tag Team Champions. champions. She became the ultimate trailblazer as part of Riot City Wrestling when she unified the men's and the women's RCW championships to create the RCW Grand title. Back in February, as Jack said, she was part of the WWE tryouts ahead of Elimination Chamber Perth. She was put further on the map in April when she challenged Jordan Grace for the TNA Knockouts World title as part of the Oceania Pro Wrestling Her event in Australia back in April, as we say. And she finished up her time in RCW appropriately with a match with her brother Dean. After the match, she announced that she was off to wrestle in America. And that leads her to where we are today. All this rumor and innuendo about Delta coming in. She's apparently signed and on the books. And do take some time, if you have a little window in your day today, to search out Delta Brady on YouTube, because she is a force of nature.
I need to watch some of her matches. When you mentioned that she began her career in 2020, I thought, oh, she's not been doing this for very long at all.
Not
and
long
she's
at all.
Already good enough to kind of be, by the sounds of it, be at the top of her local scene, absolutely. And also get an instant contract offer from WWE after a tryout. She must be incredible.
There's a lot of love for her in amongst the community. And you know what? And I was late discovering her, and I went, there you go, there's the one. So heading, what a lineup, what a roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
NXT is looking to have with Delta, Julia, Stephanie Vaca, all in the same class.
Julia recently competed with Saray, who was formerly in NXT as Saray, to determine the inaugural Marigold champion, and Julia lost the match, which I think could imply that she could be turning up sooner rather than later, because she's not tied down with a belt anywhere else.
Time to move on, and we will see her in NXT very, very soon. Meanwhile, in AEW, who is going to enter Swerve's house next? Tony Khan revealed it on Twitter.
Yes, this Friday on Rampage, there'll be a Royal Rampage Battle Royal, with the winner receiving a title match against Swerve at AEW Grand Slam on September 25th. Rampage will be taped though after Dynamite tonight, which is going to feature the annual Blood and Guts match. So if you want to stay and watch Rampage on Friday, be wary of spoilers out there, because the result will probably be known before the show goes to air. It could be. I quite like a battle royal to determine a number one contender. Not all the time, because it feels a bit short term, doesn't it? But in terms of once in a while, like AEW have used it here, I like a battle royal because it could be anyone. You know who it could be. It could be Maven. I'd love it if it was Maven.
Could you imagine? I actually don't know who it could be at this particular point.
It could also be Swerve or Bryan Danielson, I suppose, if the title shot itself happens in September after Wembley.
I mean, there is that as well. It could be one or t'other on there. And speaking of Bryan Danielson, he is set to face Swerve for the AEW World title. And Tony Khan was a guest on the Rich Eisen show. He told TJ Jefferson about Bryan Danielson's AEW future.
He did. He said, I can't say how much time Bryan has left in the ring, but he has said that this will be his final year. This is going to be the year Bryan hangs it up from full-time wrestling. At that point, it's going to be a sad day for pro wrestling, and for me personally, says Tony Khan as well.
And when Jefferson asked if Tony Khan planned to keep Danielson on as part of AEW once his in-ring career was over, Khan responded, absolutely 100%. I hope Bryan will stay here for the rest of his life, forever. And I know he is planning to stay with us for a long time going forward as part of the company, hopefully. I would want Bryan to stay with us as long as humanly possible.
As long as humanly possible. It's going to be in like 300 years time, you know, in Futurama, we're going to have Punk on one side, Punk's head in a jar of water, and Bryan's head in a jar of water, and they're going to be running the two companies, I think.
And it's just like a bunch of tribal tweets all just scrolling permanently underneath their disembodied heads for all time. That's what wrestling will become, and we will love it. Sponsored by Amazon, Google, Warner, Time, AOL.
Yes.
That one company, Tesco.
Skittles.
A company that owns everything. For more wrestling news throughout the day, of course, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.